Affidian magazine presents Celebrating Our Authors with publisher and host Karina Felix. Straight from our reading room, we invite authors to discuss their books. Join us as we celebrate our authors. Hello, and welcome to Affidian Reading Room, where we get to celebrate our authors. And today we have an author who just released her new book called Podcasting with Purpose. And this is just perfect because we are now moving so much into video digital marketing. And I sometimes also feel that people do not use this media as a great way to market their products. So first, let me welcome Dr. Munira Zahabi.
Thank you so much for having me, Karina.
I am excited to have you. As you know, this is our first reading room presentation, and as member of the Affidian network, and with all of the collaboration we've been working on together, I'm excited to have you online.
Oh,
And
thank you.
you just released your ebook, and it
Yes,
already hit bestseller list.
I did
That
last
is
Thursday.
excellent. So tell us a little bit more about, first of all, like what was it that you said, I have to write this book?
So I have been a podcaster for almost 6 years, and it is so hard, one, to get credible guests, and two, when you find them, I book them out in advance. So when the time approaches, I ask them to send me their bio. And it's not a very hard request. Ask them to send them my bio. I ask them to connect with me on social media. It's easier to tag each other. And the reason it's easier for us to tag each other is because we can look at different audiences and see we're all looking for ideal clients, and we don't never know where our ideal client is residing, but it's always good to look at other people's audiences and see if there is one that may work with you. So the idea was to the idea was to put everything together in an automated series so that you can send out emails and everybody would comply. But lately I've been seeing that a lot of people have not been able to send me messages back. They don't send me their bio. I have a 1 minute video to give them specific instructions on which links to connect with me with, and how to do what they have to do, get ready for the podcast, come here. But the thing is that they don't comply. And became a very pet peeve of mine because I just didn't like that. I thought that if you are coming on my show, then at least have the courtesy to extend the courtesy and be a good guest and, do the needful. And people were not doing that. So I started writing all the points down. And as I journaled, I noticed that I had enough material to put a book out. And as I was writing the book, I realized that it's not only the guests, because when I was a guest on somebody other podcasts, some hosts didn't do the same courtesy. So I thought, this is a two-way street. We need to work on a book that's going to look at both aspects. Well, the common theme was all the subjects, all of the material that I talk about, but looking at it from two different angles. And that's how this book came along.
Well, so when you say both angles, so how does this prepare the podcaster to tell their guest, well, these are the guidelines, or do you send them a questionnaire? Do you tell them how to prepare?
It depends on the podcaster, right? I'd never send a questionnaire because my podcast started out of curiosity. I am a very curious person and I like to know more about people. And most people just have canned questions that they give you and say, you can ask me these. But they have memorized these answers, but it's something that they tell me
Mm-hmm.
That triggers the next question in my mind.
Right. Right.
So the podcaster also has to do some research on the guest. If the guest wants to be on your show, they have to know if they are credible, if that person is going to serve your audience. That's one of the things.
That is true.
So, are you going to serve their audience? What value are you bringing as a guest to a podcast? I mean, no, but if a podcaster is starting out, they'll want everybody on there. I did it the same way. But as you go and refine your show, then you want to be credible as a
Correct.
podcast host
Right.
and as a guest because you want to be out there, one, as a guest. You want to be out there to be seen as a person of influence.
Correct.
And how are you going to do that?
Do you have?
Because you have to have credible and you have to show up because podcasters talk, right? It's a small community, though it's not, it's a large community, but it's a
Right.
small community. It's what we do. And
Right.
we talk and say, oh, you know what, she ruined my show, don't bring her on.
True. So, okay, so I'm right now I'm looking from the podcaster side. So,
Yes.
including me right now, this is what I'm doing. Um, so from my side, you are saying I should, number one, do my due diligence and make sure I know who I'm inviting onto my podcast. I also need to know what the message that they're putting on and whether it would serve my audience.
Yes, because don't you think that you've built a community within your own self?
Right.
Even if it's 500 people or 200 people, those people trust you, they like you.
Right.
And so if you don't bring a credible person, I mean, if it's somebody, if you're just going to have a conversation, you can bring anybody on. But
Correct.
if you are going to bring somebody to bring material to make
Right.
sure that it emphasizes their business, because what are we all doing? We are trying to create a business.
Correct.
Podcast has become one of the best marketing tools out there.
It is. It really is because we're so getting used to this streaming on demand, meaning I can see what I want when I want. I don't actually have to turn on the TV and wait for a show to come on.
Yes.
You wait for it to stream because then I can, see it when I want to see it on my time. So yes, it is becoming a big, very good way of, and people love just listening, and it's easier than reading. Of course, we like a combination of all. We still, I mean, I am a book girl. I still love having a book in my hand. I love taking it with me. I like reading. But some people, they're okay with, the ebook. They're okay with the Kindle and all of that. And that's fine too. But when you can put all of that in little tidbits, like you said, in your podcast, you could do little lessons and little teaching that helps people.
Right. And there's some points that influencers share that people haven't thought about it. Or, as I say, when you are on a show and you are talking about something, many people may have heard the same thing over and over again, but your words may have echoed very correctly at the
Correct.
right time and resonated with that right person at the right time. Then that person just implements whatever you're telling them. And it's like, whoa, she changed my life.
Correct. And I definitely believe that, we know that there's lots of different books on the same topic, but some people you resonate with them and some just you're like it doesn't make the same, connection. So you're right, and so we all have something to say. And even though you think it's been out there already, we can use one more. We can always use one more.
That's
So
true.
I'm
That's true.
glad that you saw the pain point. So we talked about the pain point from the podcaster. Let's talk about the guest. What
So
does the guest need to do?
so the guests sometimes think, you know what, I'm going to be on her show, she needs me. That's the
Mhm.
attitude that nobody needs you, right?
Right.
If I am a podcaster and I don't have a guest, I have the liberty to get on a podcast on my own show and just talk about anything.
Right.
It's my show, I can do
Right.
anything, right?
Yes.
But But as a guest, you have to be very, very cognizant of the fact that why were you chosen to be on this guest, on this
Right.
host podcast? One. Two, what are the requirements that the host have put out? Do you need to be ready? Is it going to be a camera? Now everybody is on camera. You have to look good 24/7.
Oh yeah.
So are you
Oh
going
yeah.
to be on camera? Are you going to, what do the host need? So the best kind of guests are the ones that always prepare stuff and send everything in advance and say, you may need some of these things. I
Right.
know you haven't asked. You may be busy, but I'm sending you these things anyway. And then follow up and say, is there anything else that you need?
Right.
Because you need a bio, you need a photograph, you need, what is your specialty, what is your topic going to be about.
Right.
Now some guests on my show, they come on and we go on a completely different turnaround. The reason is I don't have questions, canned questions.
Right.
And the journey that people talk about, sometimes they tell me, we've never had anybody ask us these questions, and you made me to start thinking. And I'm like,
Right.
that's a good thing, because how many of us have done so many different things in our life that some things we've forgotten and we don't even
Yes.
think about. But
Yes.
what if that triggered a memory and you started talking about it? It just takes your conversation to a different level.
It's so much more organic and so authentic, and we get, and I saw that because I love doing stuff. I'm very spontaneous, and I love when people could be spontaneous. And I always say, and you got to be ready for the download, because we always have a message. To me, everyone at any minute has a message for us, and but you have to be open and willing to hear the message. And many times, because we're so stuck on our script and we're reading from a script, we forget to be spontaneous, and we forget to be open to get new information.
It's not also spontaneous, it's also being able to take a moment, step back, think about what we are doing and say, you know what, that this is a very good question. Give me a second, let me think about this, and then you just laugh about it. Some people have come on my show and they've cried, they've laughed. We've talked about things that have hurt us deeply, passing of people, passing
Yeah,
of pets, and all of those things.
yeah,
We never take those things into account. We talk about business, entrepreneurship, but our life is not all that. We have infusions of different things,
right.
right? We have kids, we have grandkids, we have friends, we have flavors of, friendship and good restaurants and, good shows, and
Exactly.
we discuss anything.
I call it a lifestyle. I figure we all have a certain lifestyle. I'm actually going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to go on a little commercial break, and we'll be right back. Hold on one
Thank you.
moment. Affidian Magazine, your source for enhancing, impacting, and transforming lifestyles. Subscribe for your free digital issue at magazine.affidianinc.com. So, talking about lifestyle. So, the
Yes.
magazine is a lifestyle, because I, at one point, was looking for information about, just like you said, it's not just business, there's family, there's relationships, there's our health, there's our personal well-being, and then there's our spiritual connection. And I couldn't find it under one umbrella. And so obviously I always say, what I can't find, I create. And that's what you did. You realized there was a gap in this relationship between the guest and the host and the guest. There's a gap. And I think you're right. I think people started getting invited to shows and not understanding the deeper, um, you know the reason. Not only that you're inviting them to entertain for the hour, but you're giving them a platform to promote themselves, their books, their whatever it is that they're offering. It's a huge platform. especially when the podcaster has a good following. You got to take advantage.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. So let me share with you three things, right? Podcasting is a great way to build an audience and reach new people. And unlike radio, right, traditional radio that we heard when we were young, podcasting allows us to target
Yes,
a specific niche or a demographic, making it easier to connect with your ideal listeners.
correct.
And the second thing is podcasting is a great way to hone in your communication skills. Now, sometimes podcaster will throw out the episode and say, let's record again because it didn't come out right. If that podcaster is willing to do that. Otherwise, they'll just never, if they're very busy, they're not going to air it.
Right,
But communication is one thing that everybody should learn. Podcasting gives us and allows us to practice and refine our communication skills.
correct.
And the third thing is podcasting helps us become better storytellers. How many of us have gone to workshops and they say, make sure that you infuse your teachings with stories, infuse your lessons with stories, infuse your
Right,
whatever you are doing, just tell a story.
right,
And and I started this way. I told you that this was a pet peeve of mine, and I started journaling. And so it becomes becoming a storyteller,
right.
because we all loved stories when we were little. I have grandkids who are always, if they
Tell,
see something, they want a story. So tell me a
tell
story.
me a story. That's a new program I just started, actually called "Tell Me a Story." For that reason, we love stories, but there's stories that we keep so bottled inside of us. But we do want to talk about it. We do want it to get out, and so yeah, that's so you named it podcasting with purpose.
Podcasting with purpose, because
Where's the name come from?
it just came to me. It just came to me because I wasn't finding the name, and I did a workshop with a mentor of mine where he asked us to write a book in 14 days. He did it in 7. So whatever he did, we had to follow.
Right.
And it was so easy because we used AI infused software.
That's
But
cool.
it helped us put our thoughts in perspective. You write something and then it spits out something, and we all know that ChatGPT is out there. But this one, he's got a different software, and he was like, I want all of you to do this work with me. And he made it so easy to start writing a book. So I wrote another book with him about niches, 10 mistakes that people make when they're choosing a niche. And I didn't promote it because I was like, it's not appealing to me. But when he said, come with me and I'll show you how to become a bestseller, I was like, I need to write a new book. And I have all this material. And how come I'm not touching that? Because that's my pet peeve. So the
Right.
pet peeve was that. But aren't we here on a purpose? Aren't you showcasing me and me showcasing you with my audience? Are we sharing this thing? So there is a purpose. You
Of course.
want me to be an author in your realm, and I want you to be a podcast host in my realm. And so
Right.
we have a purpose. We want to be seen, we
Correct.
want to be heard. So why are we not taking this very seriously?
You know, I'm in the marketing business. Believe me, as you know, I've been publishing a magazine for I don't know 15 plus years, and I shifted from the dance community because it was a dance magazine, and now that I switch into the lifestyle magazine, what I'm seeing is the same thing. We're being trained, or people are being trained. Just post twice a week in Facebook. I put twice in Instagram, whatever. And so we're in this trying to get as much free out of it, but everyone is doing the same thing. So for you to stand out, you have to take this to the next level. You got to do something very different, and you got to find
Yes.
a new market, because if you're always on the same, I also, if you keep orbiting around your same little group, What are you doing? You're exhausting your resources because you're marketing to the same people. They've seen you, they've heard of you. You have to go outside, and that's where podcasting and being invited to other groups, because now you have your following, and now we get to co-create and co-share, co-market. This is kind of a joint venture, because now you have my audience, I have your audience. This is what what is this is about. And one of the reasons I brought you in, and I don't know if I mentioned, but you are the author of the week for Affidian magazine, and that was because for this particular reason, podcasting and how important it is. And your book came out like perfect timing. So I'm glad to have you here, literally saying, guys, don't take it for granted. Don't take the host for granted. Don't take an invitation for granted. And don't, I think you said you had moments of people just canceling like last minute without a warning.
Right. I mean, I understand life happens. I totally get it. But you had me on your calendar and me sending you messages. Hey, we are 2 weeks away. We are 1 week away. We are 4 days away. We are 2 days away. You can't cancel on me last moment. At least give me some time.
Or at
You
least,
cannot cancel me on the day off and say, you know what, I am not going to show up. That's not right. And the other thing is that it's not always the podcaster. Sometimes not the guest. The podcaster has to cancel too because they get sick. They have family things. I remember in January I was on a show, my show. I had a guy from all the way from Switzerland, and he had come in, and I was in so much pain. I had to have gallbladder surgery that day, but I said, I cannot cancel my show. No, I'm the crazy one. And people would say, you're the crazy one. And I was. But then exactly after the show, usually I have a few minutes talking to my guest, and I said, I am in so much pain. I have to go
oh,
to
no.
ER right now. So I'm going to talk to you later. And he goes, what? Are you in pain? How come you didn't say that? And I said, the show has to go on. We are
Still
going to
have to go on. I mean, I sent you a text last night because, I'm going, oh my goodness, how do I shuffle this? Because, a good friend who was, my writer, and he was part of the show, crossed over, and they're doing, this last minute. And I thought, well, it would be nice to be there, but I'm a showgirl. I come from dance background. I'm like, show must go on always, and I'll make it work. Things always work out. Things always work out. So,
they have
so
to.
here we
So
are.
I mean, I take my show seriously. Then
Correct.
I want everybody to do the same.
Correct.
Especially if for the audience is listening, if you are invited to be a guest, there is something about you that the guest has seen, has heard of, has interacted with you and thought, you must be a very good guest. So come here and give people on my show some value. And when they come in and they give us some value, that's the most amazing thing, because we want them to be seen. And take it as a grain of salt. You are getting an opportunity to showcase your stuff on somebody
Exactly.
else's. And so this is a free marketing platform that
Yes.
you've been
That's what.
invited. All you have to do is invest some time and show up. Be your best self. Dress up. Feel you're great. You know what? Us ladies, if we put some lipstick on and we put some eyeshadow on and we just dress up. I had a friend who
Put on your
said
jewelry and look pretty and have fun.
she
Because we're also visual people. We like to see
right.
something that's nice. We want to look and feel like, oh wow, that's fun. And what you said makes a lot of sense, because as a guest, if I come on as a guest on your show, I should also think about the fact that I want to not only entertain your guests, because the more fun the show is for both of us, the more traction it gets. But not only that, when people see you and your presentation, then someone else is going to say, I want to invite that person to my show because she uplifts the show. She makes it fun. She has good information. Now you have people actually running and trying to get you. on their show, on their stage. All of a sudden now you become that expert because you showed up and you spoke properly and you put your information
I
out.
have a friend whose granddaughter wrote a book, 10 years old. She wrote a book and she published it. She did everything right. This happened just the same time as me. But she is now on several podcasts and she's out there. She's talking to several different people, right? So, why does that happen to a kid and not for us? It's because we also doubt ourselves and we are not prepared. This kid is ready. She doesn't need to be prepped. She's on point. So,
They
if
are
we can
ready.
do it, why can't we?
It's funny because during my show I had one show. My last show would always be about the millennials, and it was amazing to see. They call themselves creatives, and I said, "What's a creative?" And it's like, we're creative. We do podcasts, we do radio, we do this, we do that, and I'm like, creatives. I like that word, And but yeah, it was. We don't, and you were saying about coming prepared, and we're both members of WPN, and we had to work on our speaker sheet one. And I didn't realize how important that was, because not only is there a picture of you, there's your bio, there is the topics you like talking about, and it's just one and one sheet. And that one sheet, you just send that out over and over and over to everyone, and now they have all your information. And we need to be really professional and not just assume, oh, I know Munira from the from a group. I don't have to give her the same respect. And it's like, wait a minute, you're putting time, you're putting effort, you already invested your resource. Because I know for a fact now that I'm doing my streaming, you got to invest on these streaming platforms. You got to invest time in promoting and doing email. There's a lot of work that goes before they come on
And
an
after.
interview,
And
and
after.
the after part, because you still gotta edit and put it up together. And once this is done and I put all my stuff together, it's gonna go on my Affidian channel. And again, and I gotta keep promoting it. And because my duty is not just to say I had a podcast and Dr. Zahabi was on my show. I want to make sure people know who you are, what you do, why what you say is important, because it's important to me and my audience. But it's just important that you took the time to come, and spend this time with me. So I thank you very much. There's
You
any
are
last thing
most
you want to say
welcome.
to our audience?
You know what, ladies and gentlemen, don't ever refuse an offer of being on a podcast. To show up, be prepared. I had a guest who said she never wore heels except when she was on a podcast because it made her feel exuberant and sexy, and she goes, that's what I am. And we don't have to be sexy, but you're just prepared. And when we dress up as women, we just feel good. So be prepared and show up and share what your knowledge is about, because there's somebody out there who wants to hear your message.
Yay, 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 yay. Thank you so much for being in the show with me. And wow, this is great. This is good information, and we're gonna keep putting this out there because it's very important. And
So
please, if
yeah.
anyone don't know, go to readingroom.affidianinc.com/Dr. Munira Zahabi. There's her book is there, her bio is there, and you can get her ebook, which is right now as a special, because she's still offering a pre-launch. Am I correct? For
Yes.
99 cents. You could go to Amazon and get it for 99 cents. Podcasting with a Purpose.
Yes.
All
It
right.
was wonderful to have me.
Thank
Thank you.
you so much. So hang in there. I'll be right with you.
Thank you.
And thank you again for watching um, Reading Room, celebrating our authors. And our author today was Dr. Munira Zahabi, and her book is Podcasting with Purpose. If you haven't have a copy yet, please do go to Amazon and get your copy. Just for this last couple of days, she's having it 99 cents, so get it before the price goes up. Again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching Reading Room, celebrating our authors. For more articles, go to magazine.affidianinc.com.